There were no ceremonies in State 37, no pledges, no documents. Citizenship was earned. A man who repaired his neighbor's roof after a storm? Citizen. A woman who taught coding in a shed? Citizen. Welcome to Omar's Story Nook, where history gets spicy, legends get a remix, and rebellion arms beneath the skin of the ordinary. Every tale you hear is a whisper of Omar, echoing through markets, memories, and screens lit by tired eyes. Nigeria has 36 states. That's what the maps say, what the constitution proclaims. But there's another, uncharted, unowned, a state not defined by land but by intention. No anthem, no flag, only us. They call it State 37, not for secession, but for reinvention. A place born not from policy but from presence, where you're not counted by origin but by impact. This isn't the story of rebels. It's the story of citizens who stopped asking for permission to do what is right. This is the tale of the 37th state, a people powered revolution written in whispers and actions. It began in Ibadan with a journalist silenced before her story could be published. We don't need saving, we need systems, a headline read. Killed by censors, it lived on, copied to a flash drive, passed in a downfall, decrypted by a retired general. He'd once held power. Now all he held was regret. Then came Mama Folake, a market woman who defied corrupt tax collectors by refusing to pay a bribe. She had no title, no platform, only stubborn truth. The journalist, the general, and the trader met, accidentally, faithfully, and asked, what if we built something that couldn't be bought? They called it State 37. No borders, no currency, just a growing whisper. They built a hidden digital notice board within a weather app. It shared rain forecasts and warned about illegal roadblocks. Next came justice circles, community run mediation. No uniforms, just fairness. Then came quiet banks, QR code cooperatives that pooled funds invisibly but transparently. The state spread. Lagos, Enugu, Kaduna, no president, no slogan, just trust. No elections, no parades, just participation. Citizens were defined not by paperwork but by presence. If you helped, you belonged. If you harmed, you faded. It moved quietly, through whispers, through Wi Fi, through purpose, and no one noticed until it was everywhere. There were no ceremonies in State 37, no pledges, no documents. Citizenship was earned. A man who repaired his neighbor's roof after a storm? Citizen. A woman who taught coding in a shed? Citizen. This was citizenship by consciousness, a refusal to wait for the government to do what people could do for themselves. Apps emerged, a market price tracker with hidden emergency alerts, a prayer calendar with embedded justice protocols. One app, Osile, no paperwork, recorded land transactions through GPS. Another, Arjometa, held public debates, no halls, just devices. Power was no longer seated in titles. It flowed through action. Leadership became a rotating function. If you served, you were heard. If you stopped, you simply faded. Quietly. No drama. Just accountability. The elders were not politicians. They were tech stewards and mothers, coders and cooks. Moderation was not control. It was discernment. And even silence had weight. Government didn't vanish. It evolved from a distant tower to a daily habit. At first, the government mocked it. Just noise, they said. But soon, revenue shrank. Markets moved without oversight. Civil services stopped relying on Abuja. The economy whispered a new language, and Abuja had it. They tried shutting it down. First, censorship. Certain apps were blocked. Networks went dark, but the state had already gone peer to peer. Next, arrests, not of leaders, there were none, but of artists painting 37 on walls, tailors sewing it into clothing, singers humming it into lullabies. Then came propaganda. They called it foreign, dangerous, unpatriotic. But the irony, State 37 never sought to destroy Nigeria, only to reimagine it. The more the government resisted, the more visible the contrast became. Aid moved faster through quiet banks than federal agencies. Disputes were resolved in 10 minutes, not 5 years. Food reached families through State 37 before any minister could give a press conference. Protests stopped being protests. They became gatherings, street cleanings, free clinics, block parties with Wi-Fi and solar lamps. And in those gatherings, the nation started to shift. State 37 wasn't a nation in the legal sense, but in the lived sense, it became undeniable. A mother in a village received free prenatal care from a mobile clinic powered by neighbors. A student learned to read through lessons delivered by Bluetooth speakers disguised as radios. A governor tried copying the model, only to realize he now answered to the people, not his party. Then came the People's Registry, not for birth certificates, but for impact. You were recorded not by lineage, but by legacy. A girl who organized reading groups, registered. A man who converted scrap metal into water filters, registered. These logs weren't official, yet councils began to use them. Even police deferred to them. This was no longer a movement, it was a mirror, held to the nation, reflecting what governance could be when done from the ground up. No longer waiting for permission, no longer asking for rescue, just building anyway. On paper, Nigeria has 36 states, but in whispers, in markets, in gardens, the 37th is alive. No parades, no flags, just the woman fixing uniforms, the youth hosting neighborhood Wi-Fi, the midwife who was once just a neighbor with courage. State 37 is not found on any map. It is felt in the refusal to be ruled by indifference. Governments will change, ministers will rotate, but some ideas, once seen, cannot be unseen. You will hear it in a chat, in a chant, in a chime passed from hand to hand. We are State 37, not a rebellion, not a headline, just the people, remembering that they are the state. Until the next whisper of Omar, stay listening.